It was a dark and stormy night in Monterey, California, with a biting wind and torrential rains lashing against the windows. It was the kind of night do rather spend tucked under a warm blanket by a crackling fireplace than out on the cold, slick streets. At 27, she was the first Latina woman to join the Monterey Police Department, and she took great pride in her role. Despite the storm, she patrolled the lonely stretch of Highway 1 south of the city, keeping an eye out for anyone who might be stranded or in trouble. But for young Officer Dana Rios, it was just another day at work. This was the last time anyone heard from her. Now, a lot of things could happen that night. So let me backtrack a bit and tell you about the town and the people of Monterey. The rain was coming down in sheets, wind snatching at the trees, and the old cars rattled along the winding road. The curve was notorious for accidents. Add bad weather, and you had a recipe for disaster. And there she was, a lone police cruiser pulling over a lone driver. On June 3rd, 1977, Dana wasn't just any rookie cop. No one paid much attention to Dana's absence at first. A search party was organized, and the police radio crackled with urgency. It looked like part of a patrol car, but how could that be? Cars weren't supposed to end up at the bottom of the ocean. The divers, intrigued and a little apprehensive, decided to investigate. As they approached the wreckage, their hearts sank. The truth of the situation slowly dawned on them. His resignation came as a shock, especially since he'd been cleared of all charges. But Francis didn't stick around to explain. He packed his things and disappeared, leaving behind not only the force, but also his wife and young son. But now, with the discovery of the car and the ring, hope flickered anew. Could they finally bring Dana's killer to justice? But Francis was dead. He died in 1988, 8 years after Dana disappeared. The police were informed, but he had died in Mexico, far from the reach of American law. Others say she was killed by Gary Francis after pulling him over for a routine traffic stop. But there are whispers, hushed conversations in dark corners that speak of a wider conspiracy, a web of deceit spun by those in power to protect their own. Rumors spread like wildfire, each one more outlandish than the last. Until next time, stay safe and remember, some mysteries are best left unsolved. Take care. Did they find something they didn't want the public to know? Was there more to the story? Why did Gary Francis flee the country? Why did the police keep secrets? To this day, those questions remain unanswered. The news spread like wildfire, whipping through the sleepy town like a gale. We know that Dana was never reported missing by her husband or the police, which delayed the search. We know that her cruiser was found 3 hours after her shift ended, but no one checked the trunk until the next day. Why did her own husband and the police keep secrets that could have brought her killer to justice? And what was the truth behind the whispers, the rumors that echoed through the sleepy town of Monterey, rumors of cops and cartels and lives bought and sold? And we know that Gary Francis was the prime suspect, but he was never charged. And then in a small evidence bag, something stranger, a man's gold ring engraved with the initials GF. Their focus now narrowed to anyone who could have been involved. But when they dug into the records, the only person whose initials matched the ring was a former officer, Gary Francis, who had resigned from the force just 5 days after Dana disappeared. Or maybe, just maybe, the answers lie hidden beneath the waves, lost in the watery depths of the Widowmaker. But one thing is certain, the case of Officer Dana Rios will forever remain a haunting reminder of the darkness that can lurk beneath the surface of even the most picturesque towns. But Francis was long gone. He left no forwarding address, and all efforts to locate him failed. It was as if he'd vanished into thin air, and he had done so under mysterious circumstances. It was a tiny detail, but it would prove to be the key to unlocking the mystery. The police arrived, grim-faced and determined. They confirmed what the divers had suspected. A match of the license plate confirmed it was Dana's cruiser. But what shocked everyone wasn't just the location, it was what was missing. Some whispered that Dana had stumbled upon something bigger than she could have imagined, a conspiracy so vast and so dark that someone wanted her silenced. Others said she'd fallen prey to the very criminals she'd been trying to bring to justice. As the sun began to rise, casting an eerie glow over the town, the searchers grew more frantic. They found Dana's cruiser parked by the side of a highway, lights still flashing, driver's side door open. A group of amateur divers, led by a man named Sal Delaredo, was exploring a rarely accessed drop zone beneath the cliffs near Devil's Curve. The area was known to locals as the Widowmaker, a treacherous spot where strong currents and hidden rocks claimed unsuspecting victims. It was here that the divers made a chilling discovery that Dana was nowhere to be seen. There were no signs of a struggle, no blood, no tracks. It was as if the ocean had swallowed her whole. Traffic stops didn't usually take that long. But as the minutes ticked by, concern began to creep in. Where was Dana? Had there been an accident? What had happened out there on the storm-tossed highway? They had leads, they had theories, but nothing concrete. It was as if Dana had vanished into thin air. The town moved on, but the shadow of Dana's disappearance lingered, a constant reminder of what could have been. But behind its charming facade lies a murky underbelly of crime and corruption. Well, they liked to think of themselves as the guardians of the town, but some saw them as nothing more than a bunch of trigger-happy thugs looking to fill their quotas. And even back then, whispers echoed through the town about the cops and the cartels, rumors of secret alliances, of shared secrets, and of lives bought and sold. And then there was Dana. In the 1970s, it was a hub for drug smugglers and gang activity, much like many coastal towns along the treacherous Pacific coast, where the crashing waves concealed more than just secrets. She was too young, too pretty, and worst of all, she was a woman trying to make a name for herself in a male-dominated field. Many thought she wouldn't last. But Dana was made of sterner stuff. She was a trailblazer, a woman who refused to let the smears and catcalls of old-school cops deter her. She was married to a fellow officer, Manny, and together they formed a formidable team, always ready to take on the next challenge. They concealed crimes. Then just before 9 p.m., she radioed in a routine traffic stop near a desolate curve in the road, aptly named Devil's Curve. Monterey is a picturesque coastal town, famous for its world-class aquarium and rich history as a naval and fishing port. And then there was the Monterey Police Department. Ever since she joined the force, she'd faced prejudice from her fellow officers. So when the call came in for a routine traffic stop near Devil's Curve, Dana didn't hesitate. 3 hours passed, then 4. The rain continued to lash against the windows of the police station, drumming out a relentless tattoo on the glass. By 1, a memo was raised. The town was in an uproar. Had she run away? Was she kidnapped? Or had she been killed by the very person she pulled over? For 13 long years, the case remained unsolved. The police seemed baffled. But then in 1990, everything changed. As they descended into the frigid water, their eyes scanning the ocean floor, they spotted a collapsed piece of rusted metal half buried in the sand. When they surfaced, gasping for breath and adrenaline pumping through their veins, they quickly contacted the authorities. The driver's seat was empty, but in the trunk, locked from the inside, were bloodied restraints. The Monterey police were quick to act, reopening the case and launching a full-scale investigation. Francis had been a controversial figure in the department. Rumored to be involved in shady dealings, he'd been suspended multiple times for misconduct. Was he behind Dana's disappearance? The investigators hoped to find out. Years turned into decades. The town moved on, but the shadow of Dana's disappearance remained, a constant reminder of what could have been. The department conducted an internal investigation, but the results were never made public. Now, here's what we know. Some believe Dana stumbled upon something she shouldn't have, some dark secret that powerful people wanted kept buried. What really happened to Officer Dana Rios? Was she a victim of circumstance, or did she unearth a conspiracy too big to be uncovered? Maybe some secrets are best left buried. Maybe some truths are too dark to see the light of day. All right, that's all for today. If you like this episode, please give us a thumbs up.